What's up guys, my name's Brandon and the Apple Watch has been the top selling smartwatch year over year since it was first introduced, but now in 2020 there's more competition than ever, and honestly this is the first year where I decided to step outside of the Apple ecosystem and the Apple Watch and start searching for other awesome smartwatches and hybrid watches that are not only cheaper but also offer solid features and great battery life. So enter Amazfit and their brand new T-Rex watch. So if you're unfamiliar with Amazfit, they are one of the biggest wearable companies in the world, and they have some other very popular watches like the Amazfit GTR, the BIP, and the Stratos. And the BIP is the one that looks very similar to the Apple Watch. But for this video, I wanted to compare the T-Rex since it's their newest watch and it's a lot different from the Apple Watch, but in a lot of good ways. And there's a lot of things that make this watch, the T-Rex, a lot better than the Apple Watch. And thanks to Amazfit for working with me on this, I'll also be giving away a free T-Rex to one of you guys. All you have to do is follow the instructions down in the description below and leave a like on this video if you enjoy it. So let's first discuss the price of each one of these watches, since this is undoubtedly one of the most important factors when trying to find a smartwatch to buy. So the 44mm aluminum Apple Watch Series 5 is $429 for the GPS or $529 for the GPS plus cellular. And it comes in space gray, silver, and gold. You also have nearly endless amounts of band colors to choose from for customizability. As you can see here, I have this leather one on right now. Now, meanwhile, the Amazfit T-Rex is $140 and comes in 5 different colors. We have the rock black, the gun gray, khaki, camo green, and army green. Now it also has GPS and comes with a matching silicone band that is unfortunately not removable or changeable, but it is very comfortable and I can wear it for days at a time without getting uncomfortable or itchy or anything like that. So clearly these two smartwatches are very different and are priced almost $300 apart, but still I want to run through what makes each one of these watches great and why I've been wearing the T-Rex a lot more than my Apple Watch lately. It's actually been about a month, maybe a little bit over a month since I've worn my Apple Watch. So let's start with the design and the build quality. And for this video, I'm going to be comparing my aluminum Series 5 44mm here. So the Apple Watch is made of aluminum and it has a very distinctive look to it. Everybody knows an Apple Watch when they see it. It's a squared off design with a nearly edge-to-edge OLED screen. Then we have the digital crown and the side button on the right-hand side. We also have the mic and speaker cutouts as well. So it's a pretty simplistic, pretty sleek look. Now on the other hand, the Amazfit T-Rex is made of polymer and has a round, rugged looking design. Now one of the first thoughts you probably had in your head when seeing the T-Rex is G-Shock. And yes, it is very similar in design to the G-Shock. It performs quite differently, but it is very similar design-wise to the G-Shock line of watches. So we have 4 buttons, 1 in each corner, and they are all labeled on the front side of the watch in terms of what they do. And this front bezel also houses some black faux screws that give it a rugged, tough look. Now it's also worth noting that this guy does not have a microphone or a speaker, so you're not going to be able to reply to your text via voice or answer phone calls or anything like that, like you can on something like the Apple Watch. As for the display itself, the T-Rex has a 1.3-inch AMOLED screen with always on, while the Apple Watch has a 1.78-inch OLED screen, also with the always on feature. Now both are touchscreen and both are made of very strong material. So the Apple Watch screen is sapphire crystal, while the T-Rex screen is Gorilla Glass 3. So both are going to be very tough, but when it comes to overall durability, the Amazfit T-Rex is going to crush the Apple Watch in every category. Pun intended. And the reason for that is simply because the T-Rex was built with durability in mind. It has 12 military grade certifications, so it can withstand extreme cold and extreme heat. It's water resistant up to 50 meters. And I noticed one important psychological thing. I'm not nearly as concerned about it when I hit it on something. Whereas with the Apple Watch, I'm constantly worried about hitting it on counters or when I go to grab my seatbelt in the car. I'm constantly worried about scraping my Apple Watch on the way and messing up the screen or the bezels or something like that. It's nice to wear something that I don't have to constantly worry about the fragility of. And that's what I like a lot about the T-Rex. And I'm not saying that the Apple Watch is fragile, I'm just saying that the screen and the body are much more prone to scratches than something like the Amazfit watch, and plus, the Apple Watch costs a lot more, so that's always sticking in your head. Again, it's a very psychological thing, but it's one of the first things I noticed when switching out the Apple Watch for the T-Rex here. And by the way, those 12 military grade certifications are going to be ideal if you plan on playing in the extreme sports or just spend a lot of time outdoors in general. There's actually a video of a guy who taped this watch to a soccer ball and kicked it around. He also froze it in ice and hit it with a baseball bat after that, and the T-Rex still came out like nothing ever happened. It's working perfectly fine after that extreme stress test. So that should tell you a lot about how durable this T-Rex watch is. Now, the Apple Watch is also water resistant up to 50 meters, but once again, there's a mental block for me when it comes to submerging my Apple Watch in water. I don't mind getting it wet in rain or something like that, or in the shower, but I don't think I'd ever swim with my Apple Watch on. But with the T-Rex, the build, there's just the overall design in the build just feels durable, and knowing the military grade certifications it has, you feel more mentally sound when it comes to things like swimming with it on and things like that, and especially hiking. I already know that for my next hike, the T-Rex will 100% be the watch I wear, not only over the Apple Watch, but any other watch that I have, for so many different reasons, but definitely for durability. Now, I do like the look of both of these watches, but I think they're both very, very different styles and for different occasions. So I would never really try to dress up either one of these watches. I wouldn't wear them with like a suit or like a button-up shirt. But if I had to choose one that I like better than the other, it's probably still going to be the Apple Watch, just because it's a little bit more sleek and simplistic than the bigger, bulkier T-Rex. But again, it's just going to come down to what you're wearing and what you're doing for that day. And just using these two on a day-to-day basis, the T-Rex screen feels bigger. I don't know if it's the round design or what, but I always feel like I have more room and more is shown on the display compared to the Apple Watch. However, the Apple Watch does have a pressure sensitive screen, so being able to apply pressure in certain areas of the screen for different actions is very cool and adds a layer of complexity, which is really nice. The T-Rex weighs about 10 grams more than the Apple Watch, but the Apple Watch definitely feels more premium in the hand, mostly due to that aluminum build. But as for the comfort, I've used a ton of different bands on my Apple Watch over the years. I've used leather, silicone, titanium, you name it, I've used it. But I tell you what, the Amazfit T-Rex is definitely more comfortable on the wrist than the Apple Watch, regardless of what strap I put on. I love the feel of this silicone watch band here. I can wear this watch for days without feeling like I need to take it off, whereas with the Apple Watch, first of all, I can't even leave it on for consecutive days since it's going to need to charge, but even when it doesn't need to charge, I just find myself getting not really uncomfortable, but I kind of just feel it there. I just feel that the watch is there. But with the T-Rex, I've left it on for 7 straight days. I showered with it, I went to sleep with it, I did everything with it on my wrist, and never once did I feel discomfort. And best of all, I never needed to worry about charging it until the end of that 7th day. And that's because the T-Rex gets 20 days of battery life compared to the Apple Watch's 18 hours. Now, that 20-day battery life is, of course, only without the always display turned on. So you are going to have always on turned off. So if you don't use the always on display, you won't have to charge your phone for weeks and maybe even a month. But I personally like having it always on. So I did notice that with the always on display, my battery lasts about 6 to 7 days. And that's with getting notifications throughout the day, doing workouts, tracking workouts, using the GPS and everything. And that is huge, since and I'm pretty sure everybody, hates charging their watch every other night. So yeah, 20 days is great, but what if you could get more than that? So there's actually a power saving mode on the T-Rex to get that battery to last even longer. You just swipe down and press this little battery icon here, and it goes ahead and enables it. And in this mode, the watch only tracks your steps and your sleep, and it's gonna last you a whopping 66 days. That's impressive. Now, both watches also charge via a magnetic block and can charge up fully in less than 2 hours. Now, when it comes to notifications and the overall software experience, this is another major difference between these two. So with the Apple Watch, you're running watchOS and you have the companion app for the iPhone, but with the T-Rex, you're running a proprietary Amazfit software with a companion app for both iOS and Android. So that's definitely a benefit for the T-Rex, since you don't have to have an iPhone specifically. You can have an iPhone or an Android. Both of these watches can receive notifications, but the biggest difference in the two is that the Apple Watch has actual applications on the watch and its own app store, whereas the Amazfit watch just relays those notifications from your phone and doesn't have installable apps on the watch or storage on the watch. So this can either be a pro or a con depending on how you use your watch. I personally don't use too many applications on my Apple Watch, so I don't really need all those apps or the App Store, but it is still nice to have. So I think that's a little bit of a win there for the Apple Watch. But again, it depends on what you're using the watch for. You do get incoming call notifications on the T-Rex, but you cannot answer them from the watch like you can with the Apple Watch. And it's the same deal with text messages. You can see them, but you have to reply using your phone on the T-Rex, whereas you can reply on your Apple Watch. Another thing to note is that the Apple Watch will constantly be getting software updates throughout the year to fix bugs and add new features, whereas the T-Rex, it's going to get updates, but it's not going to be nearly as frequently, and they won't likely be including any major new features or implementing any major bug fixes. The software in the Apple Watch is just a lot more complex, and there's a lot more to configure and do on the Apple Watch. Now, like I mentioned, the T-Rex does have GPS built in, just like the Apple Watch, but I found that it's not quite as accurate as the Apple Watch, and I've noticed that it cuts out from time to time, whereas the Apple Watch is a lot more consistent with its signal. Now, you also don't get a cellular option like you do with the Apple Watch, but both do have a built-in compass, which is nice to have, especially if you go hiking or, do anything outdoors. Now, when it comes to fitness tracking, I find both of these watches to be tremendous for that, but I find the T-Rex to be a little bit more useful and reliable for those of you who work out, hike, swim, play sports, or even just those who closely monitor their daily step count. You have 14 sports modes, which are great to have, and while I only used a few of them, I'll definitely remember to wear this watch when I go skiing, hiking, or swimming. Now, of course, you do have all of the workout modes on the Apple Watch as well. But again, when you take into account the price difference in these two watches, you really start to appreciate the value and all that is brought to you with the T-Rex watch. Now, looking at how the interface works, if I go ahead and swipe up from the watch face, it shows my step count for the day. And if you tap on it, it shows a little bar graph down there, as you can see. And if I keep scrolling, you can see things like my BPM, my resting heart rate, and things like that. And then we have our little control center right here. If we go ahead and swipe over to the right, you can see all of my notifications. You can continue to swipe down and see your notifications right here. If we go ahead and swipe over this way, you can see this is where we have our main menu right here. We can have all our settings, our workout, our heart rate, our status, all that fun stuff. And you'll notice as I go in and out of these menus that there's really no lag at all. And that was one of the big things I was actually surprised about with this watch, because a lot of smartwatches besides the Apple Watch are very slow and laggy, especially when they run their own proprietary software. But I have to say, I've not run into any lag at all with the T-Rex watch here from Amazfit. I've been very impressed with the software and how well it's optimized. So you have all these options right here, and once again, you can use the buttons if you want to as well. If you don't want to use the screen, it is a touch screen, but you can also use the buttons as well, which is pretty nice. But you can see here we have things like workout, which is just going to show all of our workout modes like I showed you just a little bit ago. We have our activities, we have our weather, we have our music, so you can control your music from here. Apple Music, this does also work with Spotify, so you can control your Spotify, you can change songs and things like that. Now, of course, you don't have any built-in storage like on the Apple Watch, so you cannot store any songs on the actual watch itself, but you can go ahead and control your music, which is very handy. We have our alarm, we have event reminders, we have timers, we have countdowns, Find My Phone, which is not as accurate as the Apple Watch, obviously, because that is an Apple product, but it does work surprisingly well. We do also have the compass, and then we have our settings down here. The compass, you do have to calibrate it by walking in an S shape, which I've done, and it's actually very accurate as expected, just like the Apple Watch. And then if we go into our settings right here and go to watch face settings, you can see you can go through your different watch faces, which you download from the application. So let me go ahead and show you the companion app for iOS. So here is the Amazfit application. You can see there it goes ahead and syncs up all of your information once you load the app, and it shows my steps. Of course, it just turned 12, so I don't have very many steps for today. But you can see there are quite a bit of options in here. So if we go ahead to our profile and then go to our T-Rex right here and go to watch face settings, you can see here you have a nice big selection of all these different watch faces you can choose from. Now also in the application you have a lot of different settings. It shows your percentage up top. You can see I haven't charged my watch in 4 days and it's at 34%. You have all these different things right here you can do as well. There are a lot of different settings to configure and a lot you could see in here as well, which is really nice. And here is the interface for the Apple Watch on iOS. Of course, we do have the watch application, both made by Apple, so it's going to look a lot better. There's going to be a lot more to do in here. You can see your complications in here you can change, and it's very easy to change your watch face right here as well. They do transfer over to the watch a lot quicker on the Apple Watch as well. However, with the Apple Watch, you are limited to the number of watch faces you can choose, and they have to come from Apple, whereas with the Amazfit watches, you can actually download watch faces online from people, not just, Amazfit themselves, which is nice. So you will have a little bit more diversity when it comes to watch faces. So you have a lot more that you can do app-wise with the Apple Watch, whereas the T-Rex, this is going to be a lot more useful as a fitness tracker and also something that you can rely on more when hiking, swimming, skiing, playing sports, or traveling, and especially hiking, like I mentioned before, or traveling due to the super long lasting battery and the durability. We also have a heart rate sensor in both of these watches, and I found them both to be pretty accurate and similar to each other. However, I do like how the T-Rex does scan for your heart rate more frequently, and it comes up quicker than the Apple Watch. So with all that being said, which one should you buy in 2020? And of course, like always, it depends on what you use or are wanting to use a smartwatch for. So if you're primarily going to use your smartwatch for tracking your steps, your heart rate, and fitness, and you don't care too much about anything else, then it's an easy choice to go with the Amazfit T-Rex because it's a much more simplistic watch for hundreds of dollars less than the Apple Watch. It's also a lot less confusing because there's a lot less to configure. The T-Rex is also going to be a lot more durable and comfortable than the Apple Watch, while still giving you most of the features like notifications, music controls, and things like that. Not to mention the battery life is far better than any Apple Watch on the market right now. Now, on the other hand, if you do want more of a standalone watch that doesn't require your phone to be around you, then the Apple Watch is for you. Now, it's more expensive, of course, but that's because it has all the features of the Amazfit watch while also having storage for music. It has its own app store with applications able to run on the watch itself, the ability to answer phone calls and text messages with your voice or using your finger to type. We have the ECG or EKG feature and the ability to customize the watch with easily changeable watch bands. So it's really easy to take out these bands and just swap them in for a new one, just like so. But at the end of the day, most of those Apple Watch features are just convenience features and things that aren't super important to most people. Now, if they are, then yes, by all means, go with the Apple Watch. But again, if you just want to track the basics and have a reliable watch to tell you the time, the Amazfit T-Rex is no doubt a better buy for just $140 compared to over $400 for the Series 5. Now, of course, you can go with an older Apple Watch for cheaper, but you're not going to find a recent one for less than $140. But that's just my opinion. I'm really curious about your thoughts. Let me know what watch you guys prefer in the comments down below. Also, don't forget that Amazfit has other watches as well. This is just their latest edition, the T-Rex. So I will have links to everything, including their website, so you can check out the other models. If you don't like this one for some reason, I will have everything down in the description below. And just a disclaimer, this video was sponsored by Amazfit, but they did not pay me to give a positive review. Everything I said in this video is completely unbiased and my honest thoughts. I've actually been using this watch for a month straight because I wanted to, and I was very surprised that I liked it as much as I did. I was also given the opportunity to attend their press event and spend some time at their massive booth at CES 2020, where they debuted the T-Rex watch, along with their home studio, some wireless earbuds that are launching later this year, and more. It was a great time out there in Vegas, and I have to thank the Amazfit team for working with me on this collaboration. I do hope you guys enjoyed this very extensive review. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it. This is one of the longer videos on my channel. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe for more smartwatch videos coming in the future.